Why, thank you, Griffin. That's a marvelous introduction. Yes, come in. Come on in. Gather round. And come close, my friends. Come close, I tell you, come close. Hello and welcome. I would like to tell you all a little story. How does that sound? I love the enthusiasm, or the lack thereof. Are we a little hungover from yesterday evening? Must be a little bit. Some of you can see it in your faces. A long, long time ago, when this forest was all old growth, some new folks came through and introduced it to the axe. And in introducing it to the axe, the trees came down and it became farmland. Many new immigrants came through, took a plow to it, and found that it wasn't too good for the plow and that the land was quite unforgiving. Dry, sandy soil would spit seed back out. The plow would get snug on great rocks. You would have to labor so hard, your bones to dust, to get almost nothing. But they found that dairy farming did decently well. It was a bit soggy in some areas, a bit wet, a little bit boggy, some might say. You would drain it, grow some grass. So you had plenty of dairy farmers out here. And one of these farmers went by the name of William Eichhorst. Now, William was a hard-working man, a quiet man, a noble man, a good man, as people know him. He worked hard and he stayed long, especially when other farmers would grow tired. The land didn't produce enough money, and they slowly phased out. They would sell their parcels and they would leave, but not William. William stayed. He said, another season, just another season. Now, one day, poor William Eichhorst went walking out into his field to cut wood, getting ready for the cold winter season. And this day was late in October, early November, much like it is now. And his footsteps went out into that field not far from this very spot and never came back. The sheriff heard about it, got out there, collected some townsfolk, went looking for William Eichhorst. Nothing. Not a sign, not a bramble, not a broken twig. They couldn't find William. They went around shouting, William Eichhorst, where are you? Nothing, not a peep. Until they found him. Lying down, bloody, mangled, his lifeless body in a ditch, trampled to death by his own bull. A horrible and painful way to go for such a nice young man. So poor young William's body left this earth, and that was the end of him, wasn't it? In the years that followed, and to this day, students, teachers, wanderers, bicyclists, recreationalists, people such as myself would walk these trails, especially on a late October, early November evening, when the wind would grow cold and the sun would begin to dim, and they would hear things, and they would see things. They would hear the crack of the axe, one of the last things he had done in his life, cutting wood. They would hear the dried, croaked voice of a man trying to call for help, or the slow, dim, swaying light of a lantern in the distance. coming close. So I tell you, my friends, as you leave today and you walk back to your vehicles and you go back to your homes, and you hear some steps behind you crunching in the gravel, I wouldn't turn around too quickly, my friends, because you might just come face to face with the ghost of old William Eichel.
Welcome, ghosts, ghouls, and goblins, to the simply spooky tradition of Schmeekley Reserve. Thank you all for joining us here today. We're so glad you could make it. My name is Veronica.
I'm Pearse.
And we are both environmental educators and interpreters here at UWSP. And I am so excited to share some stories with you guys today and to create some interactions and figure out the connectedness between our history and our past and our traditions of today.
I am also an environmental educator. I come from a long line of storytellers, some of the immigrants who came to this land with these traditions as well. And some of you may recognize me from Stevens Point Brewery. I am the tour guide. I have a passion for history and natural resources and telling long tales.
Yeah. Wonderful. Today, through the traditions of Halloween and All Saints' Day, they have evolved over time through the celebration of stories and the sharing of practices. We will be exploring from ancient Egypt over to Europe, some influences from Mexico, and how this evolved and traveled to America to the traditions and practices that we celebrate today.
As Veronica said, these traditions and these stories stretch back to our ancient origins. More than 3,000 years ago, in the land of the ancient Nile, of the sand and the Sphinx and the Great Pyramids, the ancient Egyptians lived their lives in preparation for death. Most of your time in the land of the living was spent in preparation for what would be the afterlife. Now I ask you, I want to assess your knowledge here, how would they prepare for the afterlife? Anybody? Don't be shy. Sir?
They created mummies.
They created mummies, exactly so. We still find them today. How do they create mummies? Don't be shy, you know this. All right, I'll tell you. So when you die,
They wrap them up, no? And have to take things out?
They would wrap you up after they took things out of you. They would lay you on a table, cut you open, remove your organs, put them in jars, embalm you, wrap you up, and then throw you in a sarcophagus for all eternity. Sounds fun, right? But this is what they did, and this is what they believed, and this rolls into the festival of the dead, where they would perform rituals and remember their dearly departed. Veronica, would you like to tell them about the festival of the dead?
Sure. Well, the Festival of the Dead that we will be talking about first is the Celtic festival, the festival called Samhain. And this festival happened around this time of year over in Europe. And this practice happened around the time of the changing of the seasons. This time of year was known as the thinnest time of year. The seasons are changing, the months are becoming colder, and they are preparing, just as we are preparing, to get ready for the winter. And in doing so, they would throw these huge festivals, these celebrations, and invite families, communities to join. They would cook a bunch of food, have feasts, and they would also be harvesting livestock, collecting crops, preparing for a time to come. And they believed during this time of year, known as the thinnest time of year, that there is a possibility of the dead walking among the living. So by throwing these big festivals, they would invite their dearly departed to come and join them. They would throw parties and cook more food so that these spirits would be able to come and join them in the festivities to communicate with the departed once again. And one way that they did this Celtic festival was by campfire. But they called them bonfires. And they called them this because of the cattle and other things that they harvested. They would throw the bones into the fire. And they would celebrate around this fire, telling stories, sharing good news, talking with the community, and enticing the souls to come and join and communicate with them through their celebrations around bonfires. Now, you may be thinking that bonfire, maybe you've heard that before. It sounds pretty similar to something called a bonfire, which is something that many of us still practice today. Raise your hand if you've had a bonfire with family or friends before. Yes, most of us. I love having bonfires, and not only on this day of the year. I have bonfires with family and friends all times around the year. In the summertime, I go to summer camp, and we have campfires and bonfires. We roast marshmallows to make s'mores. We also make something called a pudgy pie. Raise your hand, has anybody heard of a pudgy pie before? Yeah, some of you guys?
What's a pudgy pie?
Well, a pudgy pie is this really delicious thing you have to try. It's the best sandwich you've ever had. You take basically 2 pieces of bread, and there's this double cast iron that you press on top of one another, and you can fill the bread with whatever toppings you want inside. And you close the cast iron, stick it in the fire for maybe 2 minutes, take it out, and it's the most ooey gooey, delicious, delicious. That is just one bonfire or bonfire tradition that I practice with family and friends. Would anybody like to share something that they like to do around a bonfire with family or friends? Yes.
You can make a pizza pudgy pie as well. Instead of always just using fruit, you put cheese and sausage and sauce. It's kind of bloody when you eat it.
Yes, pizza pudgy pies are amazing.
I should have eaten before I came.
Would anyone else like to share some things you do around a bonfire? Tell stories? Are they spooky stories?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You may have your chance today.
Wonderful. Anyone else would like to share?
I just like to chat with whoever's around the bonfire. It's a very casual way.
Yeah. But do those stories sometimes last for a long time?
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with s'mores.
Can't go wrong.
It's almost as if humans have been doing this since we learned to walk.
Yeah. Sharing stories and chatting with friends and family, maybe with food, maybe without food.
Oldest
Yeah.
of traditions.
Mhm. Thank you guys for sharing some bonfire traditions.
Well, should we have our own little bonfire just at about that time?
I think we should.
How about we start a new tradition today? How does that sound? So I invite all of you, any who are comfortable, to pick up a leaf off the ground and join us around this fire right here for just a few minutes. Those who don't want to, don't have to. Those who will, well, get a new experience.
You can, of course, pick up a leaf and stay seated in your spot if you would prefer.
Yes, gather round, my friends.
Yes, we'll form a little circle. It'll be wonderful.
This is our phone. Yes, absolutely. Please do. Hello and welcome. So these leaves, as we will hold them up, are our bones. And by these bones, we remember the dearly departed of yesteryear. We remember them and we love them. And all the energies and all the things of last year that troubled us, we take them into these bones and we release them as we embrace the new year with gratitude and goodwill. We'll toss them into the fire together on my count of 3, 2, Happy Celtic New Year. And you may return to your seats. I thank you very much.
Thank you all for participating.
Wait for everyone to get comfy. Now, as all good things must come to an end, the Romans conquered the Celts. And as the Romans conquered the Celts, many of their Celtic traditions were lost. And many of the Roman traditions intertwined with them. Many of the traditions from Italy and Germany and Poland, they remained in some ways, but nowhere else in the world did they survive better than the area that is now known as the United Kingdom, Scotland, and Ireland. The Romans pushed them to the very edge, and they got to the edge of England and looked at Ireland and said, nope, not going there. They called it Hibernia, which is from the word hibernation, which means endless winter. They didn't want anything to do with it. So as the Romans built cities like London and Paris, they intertwined their traditions. Now, has anybody heard of St. Patrick's Day? Yeah, everybody, and we, especially in this state, we've heard of St. Patrick's Day. Now, this is another Celtic tradition. Now, St. Patrick wasn't originally Irish. He was a Roman. He was from England, and he was captured by Irish slaves and was enslaved by them for a few years and then escaped. And he escaped to England, and he had a vision or a dream that God came to him and said, Patrick, you have to go to Ireland and convert them to Catholicism. You have to save them. And thus he did. And it did not take long. He was a very charming guy, and the Celts embraced him, and they became Catholic. So that's when the dogma of Catholicism begins to take hold, and you see an intertwining and a mixture happening there. Samhain stayed. The day after Samhain was All Hallows Day, which then later became, anyone know it? All Saints Day.
Today.
That is today, is it not?
I believe it is.
Happy All Saints Day, All Hallows Day, ladies and gentlemen. But the Irish refused to give up all their traditions. Some things were just held on too tight, especially among the lower peasant folk. They held on to these traditions of bonfires, of telling stories of their ancient ways, of carving turnips. Has anyone here ever carved a turnip? You have carved a turnip.
I have carved many.
You've carved many turnips.
You are unlike most folks, Irvin. I will hand around a turnip for you all to pass around and just to feel, to notice how it might be to carve one of these.
Why in God's name would Griffin carve a turnip? Anybody? What's that, sir? Because what? Because they didn't have pumpkins. Well, that's a good enough answer for me. What's another name for pumpkins? What do we call them? Jack-o'-lantern. Has anyone heard the story of Stingy Jack? No. You have. All right. Well, don't tell it. It's my turn today. All right. So I'll tell you all the story of Stingy Jack. A long, long time ago, many thousands of moons, some say back when dogs could talk, there lived a man by the name of Stingy Jack. Now, Stingy Jack was a drunk, a cheat, a miser, and a drunken gentleman of leisure, some might say. If he could get out of paying for a drink, he would. If he could get someone to do it for him, oh, he would. Now, Stingy Jack lived by his name of being so stingy, and one day in a drunken stupor, he got the gall to challenge the devil himself. And he called the devil himself to join him for a drink. Now, the devil, always amused and curious by wicked souls, agreed and joined Stingy Jack for a drink. And they had one, and they had two, and they had three, and they had four. You know that Guinness goes down like water. And they had 6 and 7 and 8. And before you know it, Stingy Jack said, "You know, devil, I tell you, you could turn into a coin, could you not? You could turn into a coin and go down into my pocket, we'll pay the barkeep, and we'll be out to here none the wiser. How's that sound?" And the devil said, "We could do this." The devil, poof, turned into a coin, slipped down into Jack's pocket, and grabbed Jack. Jack grabbed him, took a silver cross, and slapped it to him and said, "Oh, now, devil, I got you! I got you now, you're going nowhere." And the devil, glaring up at him with fire in his eyes, said, "What do you want, Jack?" And Jack said, "Oh, now, devil, you shan't be collecting my soul for, how do we say, 10 years you won't collect the soul. How's that sound?" And the devil agreed, said, "Okay, Jack." Poof! The devil disappeared. And of course, as you might suspect, 10 years go by, and Stingy Jack is strolling down the road, laughing and giggling in his own stingy self on a nice, cool October evening. And poof, in the middle of the road appears the devil and says, "Ah, Jack, good to see you. It just happens to be 10 years to the day, minute, and the hour to collect your soul now, Jack." And Jack said, well, I tell you what, devil, you know, I haven't had anything to eat today, so could you do me one favor before we go?" And the devil said, "What is it, Jack?" And he said, "Now, where would you go off that apple tree there and fetch me an apple? You get me an apple, and I'll go with you wherever you want. How's that sound?" The devil said, "Okay, Jack, I'll get you an apple." And the devil hopped up into the tree to grab an apple, and quick as lightning, Jack ran up to it, carved across into the tree, and he said, "Oh, I've got you now! I've got you now, devil!" The devil, glaring down at him with the fires of hell, if he could get from that tree, he would tear Jack limb from limb, said, "What do you want, Jack?" And Jack said, "Oh, devil, you'll never be collecting my soul. How's that sound?" the devil, looking down at him with all the hate he could possess, said, "Okay, Jack." Poof! And off he went. And old stingy Jack went laughing out into the night. Now, as you might suspect again, the thing came for Jack that comes for us all. One day, Jack died. And as his soul left his body, it went floating all the way up to heaven, to the gates of St. Peter, and upon the gates of St. Peter he rapped on the door. And the gates opened with a beautiful, wonderful creak, and all the angels of heaven and St. Peter and Jesus Almighty came to him and said, "Now, Jack, why did you have to go living a life like that? You can't come in here, Jack. You were too stingy, you were too cruel, you were too wicked. You are not welcome." And they closed the gates of heaven to him, and Jack's soul fell from heaven all the way down to the depths of hell, and he came to the gates of hell, and he rapped upon the gates, pa, 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 and they opened with a mighty screech. And none only but the devil himself walked out and said, "What can I do you for, Jack?" And Jack said, "I'm not allowed in heaven. I don't know where I'm to go." For our agreement, Jack, you're not my soul to collect. You are not welcome here either. And Jack said, "Oh, I'm not welcome in heaven. I'm not welcome in hell. Where am I to go?" And the devil said, "I care not." As he reached back into the fires of hell and grabbed a coal and tossed it to him, Jack caught it, and his spirit went up to the land of the living on earth. And he took a turnip, carved it open, stuck in a coal, and his spirit wanders the earth to this day, holding out this little lantern of a turnip in front of him. And thereafter he was known as Jack of the Lantern, or known as a jack-o'-lantern. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of Stingy Jack, and that is why we carve turnips. And here in America, the Irish found that carving a pumpkin was a hell of a lot easier than carving a turnip. And so that is why we carve.
Would anyone like to share some carving creations that you have carved in the past or this year into your jack-o'-lantern? I, for example, my probably best creation was carving a bat in a pumpkin. It was pretty cool.
I carved a beetle.
A beetle?
Beetle.
Awesome.
I like it a lot.
What are some other jack-o'-lantern creations you've come up with?
I carved Stevie Pointer into a pumpkin.
Wow.
You did Stevie Pointer.
That's
Hey,
impressive.
nice. There was a farm in Wapaka near where I grew up, and it was the Miller farm.
Yep.
And this guy, he would always carve 100 or 200 pumpkins, and his whole yard would be alight, and the whole town would go out. It was a tradition.
Yep.
It was another tradition.
We went to-
Any other creations? Yes.
I once took a small pumpkin, carved some ears in it, and made it look like a mouse.
Aw.
Hey.
Sounds kind of cute.
Creative.
Yeah, I thought so.
Here we are.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Another practice that we want to talk about today, this tradition that emerged from a practice called souling. Now, this practice was done mostly by poor people and children at the time, but as you'll see, it has some very related traditions to a concept that we practice today known as trick-or-treating. Did anybody go trick-or-treating last night, or did you hand out candy to those that may have came by? Yes? Awesome. It's a pretty fun tradition that people can dress up in costumes and get candy and share the fun and spooky traditions of Halloween. Knock, 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 knock. Is anyone home?
Enter! How can I help?
Well, I was just wandering around past your house, and I am pretty hungry and was hoping for some soul cake. Do you have any soul cake?
Is it common in your family to send children begging at other people's houses?
Why, yes, it is.
I might have something, but what's it to you?
Well, I don't have much to offer you, but I could show you a dance move, and then maybe would you offer me some soul cake?
See what you got.
Okay. Ta-da.
All right. There you go.
Why, thank you. I will cherish this soul cake.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
God bless you as well.
So, in this practice of souling, we have evolved to know this as trick-or-treating. And today, people, mostly children, but people of all ages can go from house to house on Halloween night to collect some candy. And this practice of souling, they would offer something in return, because most people wouldn't just hand out treats for free, right? They would be like, well, what do you have to offer? And so they would offer prayers, they would offer thanks and gratitude, and sending them these offerings in return for giving them food to eat. So I invite you all, if you would like to practice the idea of souling here with us today. My friend Pearse is in his home. You see it, right? This is his beautiful, welcoming house.
Square door.
And you may all come over here and join me in knocking on his door, asking for soul cake, but beware, he may want something in return. It can be as simple as a compliment, offering gratitude, maybe a little talent. But please, if you're able and willing, come up and join me, and you may get a treat.
I didn't get to go trick-or-treating. This is so much fun.
Knock at the door.
Hello. Well, you did my makeup, so thank you so much. Trick or treat? Oh, yeah. Okay, what's the compliment? Oh, thank you very much. I do like my hats. Thank you. Hello. You're bothering me. Good answer.
Yes.
All right. Good enough for me. Hello. Trick or treat. Thank you very much. I enjoy that. Flattery is the best. Hello. What's your number? Thank you. Yeah, number 7. Thank you. Yes, you're very welcome. Yes, baby smiles are absolutely enough baby smiles. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. You're the best storyteller. I shivered down my spine.
And you're the worst liar. You're very welcome. Anyone else who didn't want to get up, would they like a piece of candy as they sit? I can bring it to you. No? Would you like a candy, sir? But you have to say the words. There you are. Excellent. Anyone else? No?
Thank you for joining us in this practice of souling, whether you did last night or you do today. Now you have some candy you can enjoy as we finish up this program. Traveling our way to Mexico, they have a holiday called Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead. Raise your hand if you celebrate or have heard of Dia de los Muertos. Wonderful. This holiday celebrated on November 1st as well as November 2nd. And these traditions are applicable to Halloween celebrated in America here today. They come from the same ancient festivals, this time of harvest, this time of seasonal change, and needing to make some changes for differences happening in the world around us. So, they would throw festivals and they would visit grave sites of loved ones that have departed. And they would do artwork and cook food and put offerings for the ones that have passed. And during this time, which is known as the thinnest time of the year, they would invite the spirits to come. They would play music and do arts and invite them to come and join these celebrations. Now, these celebrations from Day of the Dead and from Samhain and from the bonfires and souling, they have excuse me, they have all come together to influence how we celebrate Halloween in America today. We have many art influences from Day of the Dead, and we celebrate All Saints' Day today, and all of these traditions that are a little bit different in everybody's family and everybody's community. But we all come together as a community around the idea that we're sharing food, that we're sharing memories, that we're honoring those that have passed. And these ideas continue to change from year to year as society shifts and grows and come to new traditions and new ideas as we change as well. These transformations that are happening are not only happening within us, but also happening in the world around us. The earth is preparing for seasonal changes. As you see, the leaves are falling. Animals are hibernating, burrowing, gathering food, preparing for the colder months. We are bundling up in more layers. We are carving pumpkins, maybe cooking some soup, and getting ready for the colder months as well. These times of change can be scary, but they can also be really fun. We dress up in costumes on Halloween to transform into someone that we're not. And we celebrate with family and friends and tell spooky stories to get over this time of change and transform into something new and something that we're all working on and growing into as we get colder and the seasons are changing. Now, I have one more story for you guys. This is a legend that is prevalent to Stevens Point. There is a bridge on Highway 66 near Jordan Park. Has anyone heard or have driven over this bridge? Yeah? You may know this legend then. So, legend has it that a long time ago, there was a bride, and on her wedding night, she ran out onto this bridge, and she died. And ever since then, people have told stories that they may have seen or heard this bride still walking the bridge today. Especially during these winter evenings, as it grows colder, people have said they've heard footsteps behind them, they've seen shadows in their rear view windows, and according to the legend, according to the legend, a police officer was driving over this bridge not too long ago, and he stopped the car because he saw someone in front of him. He thought he was going to hit her. So he stops and he gets out of the car, and he looks around, but no one is there. And as he gets back into the car and starts driving away, looking in his rearview mirror, there she is. The bride of the bridge. And because of this story, this bridge is now known as the Bloody Bride Bridge. So beware if you are out on this bridge, especially on these evening colder months. To keep your eyes open and your ears open for any possibilities of the Bloody Bride.
So, ladies and gentlemen, these traditions, they are more than just relics. They are more than just things we do out of compulsion or old habit. They are living, breathing traditions that have echoed from the past of our ancient ancestors. I like to consider myself something of a historian, and any good historian will tell you that history does not repeat itself, right? Because we've all heard the old axiom, history repeats itself. History repeats itself, right? It's not true. It echoes. And these traditions are an echo from the ancient ancestors that had come before us. And they tell stories of hardship, endurance, remembering our dearly departed, and carrying on to the next generation that which means something to us, especially when it comes to coming close to the dark time of the year. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for coming, spending your time with us, and participating in some new traditions with us indeed of our little bonfire that we had. We have transcended across the world to the sands of ancient Egypt, across the Mediterranean to the Celtic New Year festivals of Samhain, across the ocean to the New World for Day of the Dead and how Halloween became Halloween. We have practiced souling that became trick-or-treating. We learned about how carving turnips became carving pumpkins and why we do so with our old legends that we would tell our students. And so, in conclusion, I would like to say thank you for coming. And as well, I would like to invite any of you to come up around the bonfire with us. If you have any nice spooky stories that you've been keeping in your back pocket that you've been wanting to share with us, we could have a little spooky storytelling session up here.
Yes, we are concluding our program now through these celebrations of Halloween and All Saints Day. We have learned how these stories and traditions have influenced us here today. And we thank you all for joining us in exploring these stories and sharing some of your own stories and traditions as well. If you would like to stay and share some more spooky stories with us, we can come around as a community around our little bonfire here today and share a few more stories. But you are also welcome to wander off into your own celebration of life today.
And get warm.
Yes.